Hello and welcome to all our fibromyalgia warriors around the world. For the month of May, we're excited to highlight fibromyalgia advocates and educators from around the globe. Today we have a very special guest. Suzanne is the founder of FibroMomBlog and is joining us from the Bay Area. Welcome, Suzanne.
Thank you. I'm happy to be here.
We're excited to have you here and we really appreciate you joining us today. I'd love to have our support Fibro friends get to know you better. So tell us about your journey with fibromyalgia.
Well, I was diagnosed in 2014. I'm sure that I had it quite longer than that. My diagnosis with fibromyalgia probably wasn't as hard as a lot of warriors out there. I know, they have to beat down a lot of doors, go to different doctors. I got mine right away. But my big journey has been, now that I have fibromyalgia, everything that's wrong with you must be because of your fibromyalgia. And I ended up having several things wrong with me that further testing would have found sooner. So, my primary care doctor just said, this is a flare, here's some Cymbalta. And, it never got better. I wasted 8 months taking Cymbalta trying to feel better, and I was just getting worse. So I had just about given up when I found another doctor, an endocrinologist, who ran so many different tests. And, I ended up finding out that I had anemia and I needed infusions. I had some hormonal imbalances that needed medication. So I feel like I'm starting to maybe come out of all of the stuff that was majorly wrong with me and maybe seeing some kind of baseline for myself. So that is super exciting. And I don't know, I'm just kind of waiting to see, what do we find next? I mean, I don't think anyone's going to say, we misdiagnosed you, you don't have fibromyalgia. I know that I have that. It's just that all of these other things make all of the fibromyalgia symptoms even worse, or even mask some of those other things.
Thank you for sharing that with us. I know it's tricky to try to figure out what diagnosis is happening. So, how did you feel when you were going through the process with the doctor, trying to figure that other stuff that was happening?
It was very, I don't know what the word is, maybe even demoralizing. It was a lot of, I've given you all of the quote unquote fibro treatments. There's nothing else we can do for you. And a lot of doors were just closing. It felt like all at the same time, like no one wanted to help me. And so I already suffer from depression. So that's been a lifelong fight of mine. So that really pushed me over the edge with it. I was really in a dark, dark place that was very hard to come out of. So being able to find a doctor that gave me some hope, and I think the trick was actually that he doesn't know anything about fibromyalgia, so he was looking for everything but that. So it's just one of these, you either can't find a doctor that knows anything about it, or they think they know, but they don't know. And so they're not looking at the whole picture. So it's very frustrating. It's very upsetting. I feel like I want to be living my life. I don't want to be relying on other people to take care of me. And the thought that you can't be who you were or do the activities that you once did is very upsetting.
I think many of us can definitely relate, and I'm glad you found a doctor that could provide you that sense of hope. And it is interesting, you made the point that he wasn't necessarily familiar with fibromyalgia, so he looked into other areas as well. And is this what has inspired you to create the blog, FibroMomBlog? Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
So I've always loved writing. I'm told that I'm good at it, but I'm always questioning my quality. I think it was August of last year. Last year was a horrible year. It was when I was really, really sick. I wasn't even able to work. I don't know. Last year, I really had to come to terms with my diagnosis. Even though, like I said, I'd been given that label in 2014, I was like, I'm not going to let that stop me. I've got ambitions. I've got things I got to do, and I'm going to do them. So, as you probably all know, that's a big mistake when you have fibromyalgia. You need to be able to, learn more about it, understand it, accept that this is a part of you and how you can both coincide in your body together. And it wasn't until I started realizing that that's probably when the depression started, because I really smack in my face, you are sick. Like, you cannot just say you don't have this and pretend it's not going on. And so I thought, okay, I'm going to start a blog. And I don't know, I'm just going to talk about my journey and put it down on paper and see what happens with it. It started more kind of for me, like, if I'm doing this and I'm making it public, because that was also a big thing for me. I was very private about my diagnosis. I did not want to talk to people about the fact that I had fibromyalgia. So I started the blog. I, opened up social media accounts. I reached out to other people, and it was kind of life-changing for me, really.
That's fantastic to hear about, just sort of the writing aspect. And we always encourage people to write things down, whether it's a gratitude journal or blog. So I do love that you opened up and shared that with the world. Because I know I was reading your bio and you said you're a wife, mother, you have 3 kids. So accepting fibromyalgia into your life and integrating into your life, it's great to explore this even through a blog. And I know it's public. But what do you find is important to share with the community? Like, what have you found helpful when it comes to these things that with fibromyalgia, but also keeping with your personal life? You're in school as well. So how do you manage all of that?
So when I first started writing in my blog, it was, this is what's going on with me. But then I was like, no, I want this to be a place where you go and you read these articles and you not only feel like you belong, you relate to what I'm writing, but I'm also giving you some information, like information I've found, or a place to go to get more information. I don't want it to just be, well, here's my sad story, or here's what's going on with me today. And that was really important to me, to make sure that my blog was a tool. I've always wanted to make a difference in the world, help other people. And I feel like this, for me, is a starting point on how I can do that. How I manage it all is yet to be seen. I actually tried to take a break from my blog. I emailed all my subscribers. I said, I'm taking a break, don't worry, I'll be back. But it kept pulling me in, and my social media blogging friends kept pulling me in. And so I've kind of started blogging again. But the one thing that I use to deal with it all is taking one thing at a time. When I start thinking about, oh, I got to do a blog post, oh, I got to do homework, okay, I've got to go to work today, there's dishes, there's laundry. When I start thinking like that, I get so overwhelmed that I can't even move and I want to cry. And then I start thinking, oh, I can't do all this. I can't do this. And that's the line of thinking that I want to get away from. So I write everything down. I have a planner. When the semester started, I would incorporate assignments and blog posts and whatever else. If I had a doctor's appointment, I would put them all and break them out into smaller chunks throughout the whole week. And it always makes me feel so good when I can cross something off. And if I can't, then I know how to reprioritize that at a later date, maybe the next week, or maybe it just wasn't enough of a priority to begin with. So that's kind of how I'm juggling it at the moment.
It's always good to hear how everyone is juggling the tasks in their life. And I know sometimes when we're feeling at our best, we try to do everything in that one day as opposed to spreading it out. So I was curious because even being in school, how is it being in school with fibromyalgia?
Well, the semester last fall, I had to take that off. And that was a huge blow. Because, I'm not going to let fibromyalgia affect my goals. But it did. And I had to take a pause. I have been going to school part-time while working full-time for 7 years. I was only a year into Penn State World Campus when this happened. So this last spring was my first semester back from the break, and kind of like, I had to go back to work from the break and then school back from the break. It was all a lot to handle. And, like a lot of fibromyalgia warriors, I am that go-getter type A, gotta be perfect, everything has to be just so personality. And I always had to get the A, and I did what I needed to do to get the A. There's kind of a running joke in my family. If I tell someone, "Oh, I got an A," "Oh, really?" Like that was a big surprise. But for me, I really worked hard to get that A. I'm not just so smart that it, just came so easily. So this semester really looked different for me. I had to let some assignments go. I had to, do what I needed to do to get by, not to excel. And that was hard for me. That was a very hard realization that I made. And, I kind of said to myself, I'm a different student now, and I have to be if I'm going to finish. It can't be perfection. It can't be A's. It has to just be to the end of the goal line for me. And I know a lot of people out there probably have to make the same concessions and can understand how hard that is. It may not be school, but it may be something else. And it's just one of those things that you can't let it totally knock you down. Like, you are in control of how you react to this diagnosis. You can lay on the couch and cry all day that you can't do the things you used to do, or you can modify the way you used to do those things now so that you can still do them.
I love this. Thank you so much for your insights with all of this, because it's really important that other fibromyalgia warriors can hear this and understand that life is not over. Like, you can continue doing these things. And for those of us that tend to be perfectionists and having to realize the adaptation we need, it's so inspiring. So I look forward to reading all of this in your blog and getting updates more and more, because I know that even at Support Fibro, we get this information as we're moving ahead with other programs and trying to help people get through college. And this is important takeaways for everyone to know. And going back to the blog, what's next for the FibroMomBlog?
Oh, that's a good question. This has always kind of been a work in progress. I never really had, an end game with it. But obviously the goal is always to grow it. Hopefully it can make me some money on the side or something. I don't think I could give it the time it needs for it to be a full-time, thing for me. But more than anything, it's an outlet for me. It hopefully is something for even one other person. If it's helping one other person, then I feel, okay, it's worth it. I am, I'm hoping to just move it more towards like an advocacy. And I don't know if I mentioned, I have a Facebook group called the Chronically Strong Warriors. I realized that when you start going out there, there's so many, fibromyalgia blogs or chronic illness blogs and Facebook groups. And it's hard not to think, oh, well, I'm not needed. There's already something out there like what I wanted to do. But then I just started to realize, but it's not me. It's not me doing it. It's those people doing it. And this is going to be my interpretation of it. So I try and keep things positive in my group. I try and every day have something new that we talk about. And just a place for people to belong and kind of look at life through a positive lens as much as possible. Not seeing the negative, but how can we turn that negative thinking into something positive? And that's my goal with that.
That's tremendous. I don't think I need to get the information to join that group for sure.
Yeah.
And you bring up the positivity part is what we really strive to without being nauseating. How do we switch the narrative and drive that forward with even the advocacy component and empower everyone to know that they have more control over their health? There's other aspects of, getting to advocacy, getting involved with different aspects. So I think that's tremendous. And I really love all the bloggers out there that are doing great work like yourself, because it helps let people know they can relate, they can join your community, and you really empower them. So thank you so much for all of that. It helps. It really helps, and we need to support our bloggers more for sure. You mentioned advocacy. So is there a look at like what that looks like for you?
Oh my gosh. My problem, as always, is that I have so many things I want to do, and I want to do them all right now. So I have to try and pick what's the most important and prioritize them. I am 7 classes away from my BA, so that is the number one priority. I have to finish that. Even if I don't get my master's and become a therapist, I wanted to be a therapist for chronic illness fighters. I'm trying to find a therapist for myself. It's almost impossible. So I totally lost my train of thought. What was I saying?
We were talking about advocacy, but I like what you said too with the sort of the therapist, and you're looking for people that understand chronic illness better. And that's a big thing. And that's just a big thing across even the United States, lack of, even for general health. So how do we encourage you to get your classes? We'll be rallying behind you. But we were talking about advocacy. So like having a lot on your plate.
So I know you and I have personally talked. I'm looking into being a health and wellness coach. That's kind of my plan B. I would totally love to start that right now. But if I sit down on paper and I write it all out, working 8 hours a day, taking 2 classes at Penn State, which are senior level classes now at this point, and trying to do a health and wellness coach, I'm setting myself up for failure. So that's why I've got to kind of take it one thing at a time. But I definitely, that is exactly where I'm going for. I want to empower more people to make change, all of us. I mean, the whole healthcare system needs to change. We are treating people based on acute symptoms instead of chronic illness. It's not even a place for us to enter. There's not enough doctors to, they give you 10 minutes and then that's it. And then you're on your way. I mean, I have been told, I don't know how many countless times, we treat fibromyalgia with medication, with exercise, with, I can't even remember some of the other things, but they don't, and then that's it. And then they leave you with no resources to help you get from their office to actually living your life. And that needs to change. That needs to change.
We definitely agree, and filling in those gaps and helping patients get to those gaps. I am excited. There are more providers coming into the field that are addressing fibromyalgia with a different perspective as well. So it's just expanding on that and working on that. So it is good, but there's so many gaps to fill, and there's a lot to do. So we need to work as a community and have more patient advocates involved and who have your perspective that can help. So I'm excited. I definitely think our community needs to rally behind you and your blog and all this wonderful insights. I definitely want to see a blog on how you manage the daily tasks and what you do. I've tried recently time blocking my time to try to do that. So it'd be interesting to see your calendar.
Okay, I'll have to put that on my to-do list.
Or at least share a blog, because it is wonderful insights. I think everyone could benefit from all of that, especially just seeing with everything that's on your plate that you can do the stuff. It's just piecing it out a little bit better. Well, I'm so grateful for your time and just happy to connect with you with an interview and share that with everyone at Support Fibro. Before we sign off, where can our listeners connect with you?
Well, definitely FibroMomBlog.com. I'm on Facebook and Instagram. It's FibroMomBlog, and Twitter at blog_fibro. You could always email me, FibroMomBlog@gmail.com. And I'm always excited to make new friends, especially in the chronic illness community. And I encourage people to get in touch with me to work with me too. So we're, like you said, we're in this together, and two voices are stronger than one.
That is what we are building. And I hope I get a chance to meet you in person. You mentioned, well, you're close. So I know eventually we will get to meet in the California routes of things of touring or doing events. So I'm excited to meet you in person.
So am I.
And I definitely will include all the links are in the description of this video. So please connect to Suzanne and read her blog, share her blog posts. It's important we support our bloggers. Thank you, everyone in our Support Fibro community. Stay tuned for more interviews, and we'll see you soon. Bye.